about a year and a half ago, someone on Saponification Nation posted this picture of a jelly cake. This is food. And they thought it was soap and said, I bet we could make this in soap. And I saved the picture because the idea just intrigued me. And I never had time to come to it. And it's been on my mind for ages. So this January, I was like, I'm going to play with this. If there's one thing I do, I'm going to play with this technique. And so I did. And I created what I'm calling the jelly wave technique, which basically is just taking this idea of waves in the soap and creating a pattern with them. So you can do this with melt and pour or cold process. This video is going to show you how to do it with melt and pour, and then next week I have a tutorial on how to do it with cold process soap. And then from there I have played with just all sorts of different variations, and I have a couple of videos to show you different things that you could do on those variations. So the basis behind this technique is, one, like I said, it can be done with melt and pour or cold process. The waves can be solid color or an ombre color. I will show you both. They can be placed horizontally on top of each other, or they can be placed in abstract patterns. They must have at least, each piece must have at least one curve to them, and the waves don't all have to be the same sizes, so you can cut them into different widths. So that's kind of the gist of it. It's got so many possibilities, and I had so much fun creating these. So I hope you enjoy this tutorial. If you try these out, tag me. I'd love to see your creations. And without further ado, let's get into the making of the jelly wave soap. Okay, so I'm going to make the jelly part of the jelly cake. So basically I'm going to make a long length, and then I'm going to curl it. So what I am doing is I have two molds. This one is a little bit wider than this one here, but they're the same length. This is the old Brambleberry liner. This was the new one. So I actually pour it in here, and then when I curl it, it actually fits perfectly from side to side into the mold. If you don't have that, you can use a long slab. It doesn't have to go side to side. You could do it straight so that you know it will line up. There are lots of different options. I think this is play with it and do what you want. I'm going to make the jelly part now, and I'm measuring out. So for this, I know I need about 3 ounces of melt and pour soap to fill this. So I'm using Suds and Glow from Nature's Garden. I'll put a link down below. I like it. It generally is low sweat and it works pretty well. So for me, the reason I'm doing 3 ounces is it's going to give me just enough to create a thick but not too thick slab. You can do a little bit less or more depending again on your size. But for me, I know that 3 ounces is kind of the perfect amount to not get it too thick, but not have it too thin. So I'm gonna go ahead and microwave that and then be right back. I melted this for about, I think it took 35 seconds almost. You can see there's some blue because I had it from a previous batch. So what I do for colorant is I just mix mica with glycerin. I've used my little 4-ounce jars. I probably have like 2 ounces of glycerin and about 2 teaspoons of mica colorant, and then I just mix it in. I do these jars because I save it and then I can put the lids on and then I can reuse it. Like I have color already prepped, and then I just kind of scoop out. Play it by ear. It'll be darker if you add more and kind of have a clearer, lighter look if you add less. So this is darker. You can't see down in the bottom. I like this when you pour it. It's a nice solid color. And now I'm simply going to
pour it into the mold. And I'm gonna basically just jiggle this around so that it gets evenly dispersed. Now, my studio is not quite level, so if I put this down on my table, the soap will kind of tilt a little bit one way. So I'm just gonna hold it slightly, let this set up. If you have air bubbles, you can spritz the top with rubbing alcohol to make sure they disappear. I didn't really see any air bubbles, but I do it anyways. Just not that it will make a difference really, but habits, old habits are. And I can see this is already starting to set up. So I'm gonna let that set up. It should not take very long. I'm actually gonna unmold it when it's still almost warm. Not hot, but warm. It'll have set up, but only just set up, because that's gonna allow me to manipulate it. Okay, so when I touch this, like I can feel that it's still liquid inside. Like the top layer is solid, but inside it's still fluid. It's still moving when I touch it. So it's not quite ready. It's almost there. It won't take much longer. So to manipulate and kind of curve this, what I do is I use rollers to help me. Now, this is one that comes with the standard fondue set. I'll provide links below. It's thicker. It works, but I got this one with, I think it was a clay tool set, and it's just got a smaller radius, and I like it better. I think it curves better. So it really depends on how tight a curve. So, okay, that's not really moving, so I'm gonna take this out. But yeah, so it really kind of depends on how tight a curve you want to get. But something round and cylindrical that you can use to help curve it will help. So this is still warm and it's very flexible. So what I'm gonna do is I'm gonna put my little roller at the edge, and I'm just gonna roll the soap. And I'm gonna move it down and roll the soap. And move it down and roll that last piece. So now I have one curve. I'm gonna flip it over. I'm gonna put it on the outside, and already this is cooling down. I can feel it really quickly cooling. I'm going to kind of roll that edge. So you do have to do this right away. This is one of those things, once you get it out, you need to be ready and you need to roll, and you can't let this solidify hard and come back to it. It's just not going to have that same flexibility. Now I have a little S shape, a wave. This has more of a curve, this has less of a curve. You can do it equal amounts. You don't have to roll this side quite as much. I like this look. I think it's cool. You could probably create a wave themed soap, actually, now that I think about it, like this. But yeah, so this is ready to go. It's gonna fit into my mold, and I'm just gonna create multiple pieces. I'm gonna do the same curve shape, and then I'll layer them on top of each other and put white batter in between as I go to kind of create that jelly look. So yeah, that's how you create the jelly part of the jelly soap. Now, basic one color is fun, pretty easy, but if you want to get fancy, you can mix colors. You could probably pour and swirl. I'm trying to kind of give a gradient-ish look. So I have a purple, blue, and a pink. I'm just gonna start pouring down the center And I'm gonna add some pink, stir it in, and pour more down the center. And just keep doing that, adding more pink until I've poured all the soap. And then I will manipulate it to get it to fill all the crevices. You do have to work fast because this is already starting to set up, which is because it's so little soap. I did heat this a little bit more than I normally would, so it was almost bubbling, which I don't usually like to do melt and pour that hot, but for this I knew I needed to give myself a little extra time to work, and that extra heat would help. So now I'm just kind of manipulating it and moving it around. And you see it kind of creates a cool, kind of cosmic effect, which I really like. I'm gonna go ahead and just let that cool, which it will do pretty quickly because it was already kind of setting up. Then I'll take it out and round it, and I will have a set. So that was my blue purple. This was a pink purple kind of, I was trying to pour it all from the side. This one did not work out quite as well. And then I'll have that one. And I also have a solid blue one. Pull this out. Now the downside of, again, doing multiple pours is, can you see all the lines? These break much easier when you start and try and roll them, which is a little frustrating. I'm actually going to cut this piece in half because I want a small piece. I'm going to play with a different design in this batch. So I am just going to line up my ruler and cut that. And now I'm going to roll this. This is, again, starting to cool really quick. Nature of melt and pour. So I'm trying to roll it pretty quickly. Okay, there's one. And just cleaning off some of the rough edges here. So the thinner this is, the easier I think it will form and shape. Just in my experience, that's what has been easiest to do, is when it's thin, it shapes pretty well. But it also breaks easier. So, okay. So I have a bunch of pieces now. You can see I have one in at the angle. There's a small piece underneath in the corner. And I think I'll like add this piece here. So I'm actually having the pieces touch. And then I have this big piece I can put on top. And then this little piece I will put on the bottom, or on the very top. I think it will be, I think that will be cool. It'll be different, and I'm excited to try that. So stay tuned. I will be back with, once I go make my cold process base, to pour the inside.
pouring the base is pretty simple. I poured enough soap into the base that I basically could make sure I didn't get any air gaps under the arc or the wave of the embed. And then I just poured more and added another layer, poured more and added another layer. I thought I'd be able to get 5 layers, but I poured the in between too thick, so I could only do 4, which I was actually okay because I really loved how it turned out. The closer you can get the waves together, the more you'll be able to get into a batch. But I just did that. I said simple white base, and then I would infill with soap, place another wave. So yeah, this part is actually pretty simple. So I don't think you can see it in the video, but the speckles have created little divots on top, and it's really cool. I really like this top. It's just, I don't know, maybe it's different. We'll cut this and see what the inside looks like. I mean, it looks basically like it did what it was supposed to, so yeah, that's actually kind of cool. I don't know what I was really expecting, but at first I thought when I was making the the jelly pieces, for lack of a better term, that they were too thick. But I actually think they're pretty good. I had 5 pieces. Here's a yellow one that didn't get used because when I was putting them in, I was like, you know what? There is not gonna be enough room to get 5 pieces in, I don't think. Maybe if I had pushed this down more, I could have probably squeezed it in, but I'm glad I stopped and I didn't try to force it. It's interesting. It's different. I actually kind of like it. So now I suppose I should do a tutorial on it. Which means I guess I need to make another batch, huh? I wonder what I should do color-wise this time. I want to do something different. I'll have to think on it. But yeah, that's cool. I'll take it. It's different. Definitely different from anything I've ever done. But I like it. Let me know what you think. And I just love this speckled top. I think it all works. I'm just doing a white base again. Nothing fancy. I want my colors to pop. I am using a slow-moving fragrance so that I have time. I just want to make sure I don't have air bubbles and gaps and stuff. So I'm going to pour a little bit in. I have my colors lined up, or my jellies lined up 1 through 5. So this first one's going to go in on the angle. And
I need to make sure that I have enough soap in filling it. Like I don't want an air gap. I also want this at more of an angle. I'll put the top on. I have it off right now so I can get my fingers in here and have some room to manipulate the jelly. Okay. So I'm going to hold that in place while I pour more. Otherwise it wants to slide. And I do not want it to slide. This is why I'm using a slow fragrance, so that I have time to get all of this in place. Okay. So this next piece goes in on the oops. Did I do that right? On the diagonal. I think I just reversed it. Oops. Oh well. Not much I can do right now. I'm not going to try and pull this out. I am going to put this back on so it doesn't start to fall on me. And yeah, I think I put this the wrong way. Shoot. I think I have enough soap under there that I don't have any air gaps. I'm holding this down because otherwise it wants to float horizontal and I want it to stay at an angle. Hence why my finger is in here as I pour soap. Hopefully I get enough soap to counterweight it wanting to push up. Then this piece. I don't remember now how this was supposed to go in. At this point, I wanted it on a diagonal, and this was going this way, and I'm pretty sure I wanted it this diagonal. Don't know if it will work. And then this final little piece is supposed to go in here. I don't think this quite went in the way I was originally laid it out. I know it did not go in quite the way I originally laid it out. That's okay. So I'm just gonna cover up the top, and then I'm going to do a mica splatter top design. this is the end. So right off I can see that this didn't get pushed down and that didn't get pushed over. I don't know if it goes all the way through or not. I really wanted it to touch. I wanted that to go down too. But that's okay. Sorry. It's nothing to the world, and we'll see what the cut reveals. So I think that's cool. It's not quite touching, but and look, you can even get the gradients of color, like you see that? So, I mean, that's not awful. Like, I think it's cool. I really like I like it. I think it's cool. Like, this is not quite the pattern I think I had laid out. But it's neat. I will take the results. It is I think it's cool. I liked how this pattern turned out.